and kick us off, and we'll go from there. So hang on just a second here. Okay, Chris, I'm going to unmute you.
Okay. I hope everybody can hear me, and if you would, just do a little check mark or smiley face just so I know that you can hear me. Looking good. All right. And I have a voice this week. I've had that crud that everybody else has had, and I've really had trouble talking and making myself heard, which is really difficult since I teach communication. What I want to focus on tonight is really take this little session. You all are essentially really experienced now about how do you log in here, how do you start looking through some resources. And what we're planning on doing here tonight is allow Megan to really help you kind of fine-tune the research. Again, for this paper, you only need to have 2 scholarly sources, but let's talk a little bit about that and about the way that we use scholarly sources. And the reason that this is important now is that I had an online class that I taught, and the teaching had just finished up, and they had to submit their final papers on Monday. And 2 of the papers that came to me were obviously plagiarized, copied and pasted, and it was just, I've been reading stuff from these students, as I have been from you, for quite a few months now, and I know what you sound like when you write. So I want to make sure that it's okay to use other people's ideas and their research and their findings and their conclusions and the data, but make sure that you let us know within the paper, according to so-and-so, and that if it is, particularly if you're using the exact words, make sure that these are in quotes. And it's just really unfortunate for me that these 2 students chose to do that. We've got this, the place, this term, and we have all sorts of different names for it, but all these different types of software that are available to us, that anything that you put up there, if it's not really your own work, we're going to figure it out. And I just don't want to have to go through that again, because it's just really, it just, bothers me. And I know that none of you are going to do that, but just as a reminder, it's okay to cite other people, it's okay to use their data and to talk about the work that they've done, but make sure that it's really clear to the reader, who is me, that this is not your own work, that you're taking that from somebody else. But what I specifically want to hear in these papers is your own voice. What do you think? What's your observation on that? What's your interest in this? What are your conclusions? Give me that of your own voice. I'm not looking for PhD style writing in this, because essentially this is an introductory class. But what I'm looking for is your own voice and examining the topics that matter to you. So we're going to get started here with, again, pretty soon. It looks like we've got one topic up here on the whiteboard of bias. And let's see, for the topic of bias, what is that context? Bias against whom? Bias from whom? And in what situation? Because the more you can narrow it down, the easier it's going to be for you to really focus. And let me have a kind of a show of hands or check marks. Who all has essentially an idea of what they're going to be writing their paper on? Okay. Good. Okay. Okay. Right. Those who do not, why don't you just kind of stay tuned here and see what comes up. You may find that, not that you're going to take off on somebody else's own work, but there may be something that comes up during this whole research session that really kind of, you thought, oh, I hadn't thought about that. I wonder what would happen if, or I wonder how this situation works. So I think we're ready to get started. We've got everybody here. It looks like it's about 7:12, so let's get busy. So it looks like we've already got the first one as far as being a normal filter for our conversations. That's fascinating. So I'll turn that back over to Megan, and she can mute me now because I think I've probably talked enough, and let the professional take over here. And let's go ahead and go to the library and finding avoiding conflict style, low self-esteem. Yeah, avoidance conflict style. And I'll tell you all briefly, just a little bit of self-disclosure. That's one of the things that really got me going in the communication field when I figured out what kind of a conflict style that I had grown up with in my family, which was the avoidance style. So I've certainly tried to make some adjustments since then. Okay, then take it away.
All right. So this is great. We'll go ahead and start with bias, and then we'll go to the avoiding conflict style, which I imagine is not uncommon to many families, right? We all may have had some of that, or some other conflict style that maybe not as helpful. So yeah, I think what I'm going to do is basically, start kind of by demonstrating how I would go through this process with bias, and I do want to make sure that I'm completely understanding the topic and the context too. That's a big part of really getting started on your research, is actually make sure that you're clear about what question it is you want to answer, or what areas you want to explore, because otherwise you can end up really, really frustrated. So I'm going to put in there that it's about a filter for conversations. I mean, if we could maybe put that into a specific context, either in the workplace, be in a family setting, and maybe even between certain cultural groups, between women. I don't know, you can type into the chat a little bit about, do more kind of brainstorming. What I'm going to be doing right now, though, again, is sharing my screen. So remember, your screen's going to change, and we will have to pull down the chat. Sorry, bear with me just a second. You'll have to pull down a chat from the toolbar. So hang on and let me share this top, and I'm also going to be out here, guys, while I okay. I'm going to go here to my web browser. So yeah, don't forget that you've got a toolbar at the top of your screen now where you can pull down your chat, so we can see that, and pull down your participants window if you need that. But you'll need to be able to type into the chat window so that we can all communicate while I'm searching. So if possible, okay, here we go. So how humans rely on bias in our conversations despite confusing or incomplete information. Okay, so almost like how we might make an assumption, maybe based on the way somebody looks or the way their body language, and we not we just kind of go ahead and carry on the conversation, basically in a way that is what I'm looking for, just with an inappropriate lens on it. Okay, stereotype or attribution may be a term. Okay, yeah, I like that, Chris. The stereotyping. And let's go ahead. And so what about that is interesting to you, or what kinds of questions do you want to try and about that? Like, I know for me, I am constantly kind of talking to myself to not fall into, any kind of stereotyping or generalizing when I'm talking to people, but it can be challenging. So I don't know if you can. I'm going to start some searching, but in the meantime, feel free, and Chris too. I like having your assist there in the chat, but let's see, because we could get it narrowed down a little bit. So see this here about communication barriers, which it certainly can be. Okay. Thank you, Professor Reyes. The fundamental attribution error, how it interrupts communication competency. So it does seem like we want this concept of a communication barrier. And then I like their communication competency, I think is a good. Let's try that one. And really, I'm doing Googling right now because I need some more context for this, right? I'm kind of trying to figure out what keyword's going to be, what am I going to tend to see this topic related to, how will it be talked about. So let's go into Google Scholar just to see what's there. This is predictor of intercultural communication competence. Let's see, behavioral categories. So this compares some cultures. This looks interesting, the influence of age stereotypes. The app down here, I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger. It's really interesting. So how do people communicate with older people? Let's see. So, Miss, I don't know if this idea about a specific group of people communicating with a specific group of people might give you an idea about a context in which to examine communication competency, in particular, less likely to give. It's kind of interesting, or maybe this even out at you a little bit. I'm going to go back. That one did look pretty good. So this seems more about cross-cultural. Oh, got it. Got it. So not so much the cultural stuff. And remember, then what we can do if we don't want a certain word to show up in our Google search. Yeah. So we do minus culture. Remembering that means that we take something out that could be really helpful, but nonetheless, if we know that we really don't want to focus on that's okay. If we want to focus on culture, then it's probably okay. Now it looks like, so it's not saying all of the, let me see if this will work if I do culture with an asterisk. Nope, it still comes up. See, Chris is just kind of giving some, I'm going to go to the advanced search really one thing that I find really interesting, I'm just kind of thinking about this topic a little bit, and one of my favorite documentaries that I ever saw was called American Tongues, and it was about how accents, or our depending on the area of the country that we're from, we may have a dialect, and it was about how quickly we tend to make or draw conclusions based on somebody's dialect or accent. So that's one of those things I think that could then create a barrier, like they had, people from the South who had kind of slower, more of a drawl, talking about how, they were just assumed to be slow or dumb or stupid. And, different parts of Boston with their accents. And that was kind of interesting. So I don't know, Meredith, if that gets at that you're, something. You guys are going to make this class mandatory for all of your family members, it looks like. This is a good life skills class, right? Definitely. This is stereotypical speech. You guys are cracking me up. Interesting. It's about adolescents who stutter. That's awesome. I love reading the chat. Journal of fluency disorders. Let's do something. I was going to try and think of how we might brainstorm this a little bit, and we do have one resource that I hadn't had a chance to show you guys just because it didn't come up. We've really been focusing on EBSCO, but I want to use something called Credo Reference. I'm going to type in, let's see if anything comes up for communication competency, or even, types, bias. Here's Credo Reference. It's on our Find Articles page. And let's see if it might, because, Chris Professor Reyes was mentioning just a little ago in the chat how you do have to start with a definition and some background. So I want to see what comes up for communication competency. It's okay, Bonita. Let's see. Not quite. Aging and competency. We're going to talk a little bit about stereotypes. Let's see. So this is really more of a encyclopedia, kind of an encyclopedia of encyclopedias. Here are, some very, very general overviews of. Yeah, okay, Chris, I will. I know I like the concept map too, so let's try it. And it's really good for when you're still trying to figure out what you're going to write on. So Professor is talking about, oh yeah, cool, yeah, good, I'm glad. I can show you something new. I'm going to click on this concept map here. Type in stereotypes. So this is really that kind of visual brainstorming that you can do sometimes to figure out, okay, I know in general what I might want to write about, but you know, I don't know how to make it, you know, work for this paper, or what else I might write about. Hopefully this is going to come up. Let me, if it may have to switch to another browser. Chrome, you can do it. So I just got a message from one of the students. Yeah, exactly. I may have to try it in, believe it or not, I might have to try it in Explorer, but I do want to show this to you. Someone was mentioning, I was kind of talking about this concept of putting stuff in EBSCO, getting folders and then emailing them to yourself. And I might be able to explain some of that. So it sounds like the student gave that the sources from email and EBSCO, and I think people tend to click on that link rather than noticing that the article is actually attached to the email. So a lot of times that's all it is that you don't realize that the actual article is attached to the email. So I'll go back and demonstrate that, and then I'm also going to show you something else that I think you'll really like, which is a way to permanently save articles. You can actually create your own account in EBSCO. So look at those things, and then the person has that question, just make sure that that I answer it completely for you, because I think there can be a couple things going on there. Now I'm back into Credo, and I'm going to do that concept map, which for some reason only wants to work in Internet Explorer of all things. But to get a feel for this, how it kind of gives you a visual look at your hope. Maybe not, right? It fails. Of technology. Let's try and refresh it. God, maybe I should just go in and try Firefox after all. Let's see. How you can think that you've figured out something, and you're like, okay, good. It doesn't work in Chrome, but it does work in Firefox, and then you and it won't work in Firefox, but it will work in Chrome. And yeah, it's when you think you've figured it out. So let's go back in here. Anyway, if this doesn't end up working out, definitely give the concept map a try, because it's pretty cool, especially for visual thinkers. Okay, it's singing again. This is good. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe it's down on their site or something. We might have bumped into that. Anyway, story short, what the concept map is just like I said, it's basically like a brainstorm. Because I don't think, for some reason now, it's not working in any browser. So I broke it. I broke the concept map. About what my brain feels like right now, so it's very fitting. Okay. Oh, you did get it, Hillary? Okay. So it looks like Hillary's able to see it. Sort of exists. I promise. It might just be, you know, my computer or something. And yeah, that's great. Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Chris. But one thing I do want to do, let's go into EBSCO again. I want to address this issue of being able to get back to your articles. So I want to kind of go through the process again really quickly. And spell it correctly. And talk about what's happening if you think that you're not getting your article, you're getting error messages, and then also another really awesome option. There's actually two options that I want to show you that are pretty amazing in EBSCO. So I'm not going to pay too much attention to what I'm actually putting in my folder this time, although I'm going to still find some things for this. But I just typed in stereotypes and communication. Well, the consistency bias. Looks kind of interesting. So if you recall, all you do is hold your mouse over that little piece of paper, and you can read the abstract. So, stereotype consistency bias. Okay. Kind of interesting. Might as well pick it up, right? Let's see. Just only a group member. The tendency to differentially communicate about individuals. Dang. So neat too. Okay. Look at some of our subject headings that are coming up here that might be interesting. Interesting. Perceived gender buses. This looks interesting too. Another one about age. Age differences. Young adults and old adults. That looks good too. Another thing might be kind of an interesting one to follow. Click on here. The other thing again that I'm reminding everybody of is just this ability to come in and actually click on a subject heading to kind of broaden your search again, but then you narrow it back down. So this is a good way to discover things that you hadn't thought of, and use those to add some additional keywords. So just a good way to kind of, I could say it's almost like, you know, guided browsing a little bit. It's not like you're completely all over the map, but you're able to do it. Interesting. So this is interesting when you know if you share a stereotype with someone or not, like you would both have the same, you know, idea or stereotype. Yeah, that's a good question, Meredith, and I guess, Chris, that probably goes to you, but talking about the age of the article or how old it is, it's a good use for me to remind you that you can come down here and change that year range. Professor Reyes, do you have kind of just a standard, you know, make sure it's new in 10 years or? I kind of like the 10-year range. I mean, of course, it's always going to depend on what exactly you're researching and whether or not you want to take a historical perspective, like if something has changed over time and you want to be able to show that. But I agree. I like the 9 to 10 year range. So great question, Meredith. And that is what I've done here. Is I went ahead and changed the published date. Let's see what this is about. That's kind of neat too. They'll tend to communicate more stereotype consistent than inconsistent information. Memory essays, and I'm putting a bunch of articles in here, so I don't know if this has been helpful, Meredith, but I'm going to actually I've gotten the folder so far to straight. Just exactly what's in that folder when you get it and how to get to the actual article. And then I'm going to show you one more thing. So go to the folder. So you remember during your session, your folder is always at the top. Okay, and you can go to that. Meredith, what I can do, I'm going to email this to myself right now, but I can also email it to you unless you sometimes going through the actual process is good for you too. Let me go ahead and get these emailed. And then we're going to walk through it. Don't forget, you have that ability to choose your citation format. Get your APA citations. You should always double check them though, because there will definitely be mistakes. I will show you that. So let me go ahead and my confirmation message down here, but you always want to log in. I'm going to log out of mine and then log back in. So here's what you'll get in your inbox is typically there's going to be one email with just citations. These citations have what's called a permanent link to this record. Now, this is what I'm imagining might have come up for the person that asked me this question. Like maybe you clicked on it and then when it got to EBSCO, it asked for something, and I'm going to be able to do that because I'm here on campus. What I'll tell you is this. Actually, let me tell you a few things while we're here. I'm going to walk through this process here. Let's say that you were able to get, a bunch of your resources here through EBSCO. So you can basically create your bibliography or your references page from this. I'm going to go into Microsoft Word and I want to show you there are some issues with this. Now, the easy part is pulling this stuff out unless Reyes has asked for the link. And APA currently does require a URL, so you may need to include this one or not. It's sometimes up to the instructor. But one thing I do want to show you is something like this, where the entire title came through in all caps. It's actually a very easy fix in Microsoft Word. If I'm up here to where you have a big A and a little a in your Home tab toolbar, there's actually a choice to go to sentence case or to capitalize each word. Yeah, really cool. And APA style, it actually is sentence case really more than its title case. So the closest would be sentence case. But what happens is your subtitle always starts with a capital, okay? That is what it looks like. And it's easy just to change the case. So that'll be one of the mistakes that you see the most. Like here's another one where it's just all case, all in uppercase. So I can easily go in there and change that. The other issues you might see are that the first and last name might get confused. Sometimes dates are a little bit off, but be easy to go in there and fix that. And I think I talked about this on the first night, but I want to make sure that all kind of talked about Purdue OWL, a good resource for checking your citations. What I use most often, and it's very, very useful so that you can kind of go in here and see, okay, ref list, electronic sources, they actually have and from a database. So you can see here that it is actually asking for the URL. So we need to go back into that citation and put in retrieved from, and then put the URL that came through. Okay. So let me go back a second. I want to go back to this concept of once you get your email, what do you do? So if all I had done so far was clicked on this link and for whatever reason it didn't go through, and whoever has issues with this before, if you can type into the chat what it is. I mean, in theory, it should go to that page in EBSCO. If it stops and asks you for your S number because you're off campus, cool. So Lakeisha, that's how she saved it on her computer, which I think is a great idea too. So you can actually download, go ahead and download each one, put it on a jump drive, and that's you're exactly right. That's one way to know for sure to have it. But let me show you all what I think would be the most helpful. And let me first just show you. I want to go back to that really quickly and show you where I think a lot of times people just miss. There are actually attachments to the email. They can actually just they can overlook them. So like you think, wow, they got a whole bunch of citations, but where are the articles? And oftentimes, if you just look down, like right here, the actual PDF of that article. So I think a lot of times people think, oh, wait, that's not very useful. It's just a citation. Yeah. Okay, so the permalinks don't work. Okay, so you asked for an S number or just broken. These actual articles. Okay. Trying to figure out what it is then. Something I need to play around with a little bit because in theory it should. Right. Yeah. No, that's not going to work. So. I'll look at that a little bit. Hillary, because that could be, I give you a completely awesome and much better workaround for that, but I think knowing that most people don't really think about it, they just fold or email it and then they can't get back to the articles again. I'm going to see if I can do a research on it. But I'm going to show everybody the number one way. It's just a really efficient way to use EBSCO. So what you do is, when you've logged into EBSCO, you should always see up here, College of Aurora. That means that you logged into our subscription that I pay for. Okay. And once you are, up here next to folder, you should see this, sign in. Okay. And you're signed in because you already have an account, or if you don't have one yet, then you want to create a new account. So you can click right here, create a new account. Really basic, straightforward, just like creating an email account or a Gmail account or anything like that. Because I already have one, I'm going to show you what it looks like. So the benefits of creating one of these are multiple. One benefit is the ability to save multiple searches and articles and folders. So you can save everything. And one of the most powerful reasons to use it, and let me just show you really quickly with search here. Once I've done this search, I can actually then go here, full text, choose scholarly, go ahead and make sure that they're newer articles. So right now I've got a search in there for scholarly peer-reviewed articles, full text, newer in the year 2000. Okay. At this point, ahead and create what's called an email alert, or I can use an RSS feed. What I'm going to do is it's going to allow me to receive an email one day, once a week, bi-weekly, or once a month that matches all of these. Types and communication, full text, scholarly peer-reviewed, and the years. EBSCO adds new articles every single day. So that means this is, technology that's being pushed to me rather than me having to go out there and find it. Yeah, so I hope many of you right now are in another tab or window creating your own EBSCO accounts because this will pretty much, the question about losing articles and not being able to click on them will just be completely moot. You will have this account. And so that I think is the number one most powerful. Be topics that you're just interested in following in general. Like I have a lot of research interests that I just like to know what the newest stuff is out there. And so you can always go in and tweak it. You can start any time. RS feeds are nice too. You don't have to then clog up your inbox. You can actually just go and read it on a RS reader site. So I think it's pretty cool. So I encourage everybody to try it. Let me show you, I think is another great product that EBSCO has come out with. I won't be able to show it to you, but I'm going to tell you about it. It's the EBSCO Host iPhone and Android application. So let's do a quick poll here. A smiley face if you have a smartphone of any kind, whether it's an iPhone or an Android. Okay, cool. You. So what you can do is, again, when you're logged into EBSCO, Community College of Aurora, you can click right here on this, EBSCO iPhone and Android applications. Here's what happens. You put your email address in, email that you use to, or that can answer on the device in question. So whether it's an iPad, an Android tablet, an Android phone, an iPhone, you need to be able to answer this email on the device. Once you go ahead and do that, then your device go in and actually download the app. So whether you're in the iTunes store, and this gives you the instructions. That's a good question, Melissa. I don't think there's an app for Kindles, but if it's a Kindle Fire, you would just basically use the web browser. So yeah, no, this looks like it's iPhone, iPod Touch, iPad, Android. So I think the Kindle question would be, if you have a Kindle Fire, just use EBSCO in the browser. Yeah, but I have to take a drink here. Yeah, so what you do is then you get the app. As soon as you've downloaded the app, you then go and open that email that has the link in it, and you touch the link, and it authenticates the app. So I'm able to run searches, read articles, save articles on my bus ride to and from work, and I have, and I do. So it's pretty amazing. That is good for 9 months. You know, they don't want people to like get in and then no longer be a student at CCA, but still be reading articles. So wires, you just do the same thing again. You basically yourself that email and reactivate the app. So it's very powerful. I love it, and I think that you should all give it a whirl. So those are some kind of specialized EBSCO things. Let me see. Oh, what? There was a whole other topic that we didn't get to yet. Meredith, did you want me to email this folder to you? Did you see anything in there that looked worth looking at again, or do you just want to kind of tear and see what you find? And I want to go to the other topic that was listed, which was, can somebody remind me what was on the whiteboard? Okay, yeah, I mean, give it a try. You know, yep, and you know that once you're in EBSCO, again, remember, they're going to be here. So if you come to EBSCO and you're struggling, you're not finding what you need, always have access to the 24/7 Ask Academic chat. So you can just type in there and say, help, you know, I'm drowning, what to do. And a friendly librarian will pick up and help you out. I'm going to peek back at the board again, so give me just a second. Oh, thank you, Lori. The avoidance conflict style and low self-esteem. Ah, yes. Let's do one. And we're already in EBSCO. I'll probably just go ahead and go with that. I think we're getting down to the point now where most people are wanting to just get into EBSCO and articles rather than, you know, doing much Google searching. But I'm still always going to recommend some Googling and Google scholaring and things like that. So this avoidance. I guess I just like this. What I really do is if I have two topics that I'm interested in or I want to connect them, I start with one. Like if we typed everything in all at once, I can guarantee you we won't get anything, or it would be rare that we would. And what can happen to a lot of people, of course, there we go, is they can get discouraged, right? So they see, oh, I didn't get any results. Now, I have this great thing now where they then use something called smart text searching because they know how completely disappointing it is to have 0 results. And so they've kind of figured out ways to, you know, and do some fancy algorithms to actually find stuff. But typically, you know, I'll come in and I just start with my topic so that I can see what's there. And I guess you all will know better than I will. It looks like conflict style is actually the term. Let's see if that comes up as a. I guess my question is okay, is all conf style, avoidance. Okay, so you just used avoidance. So it's more like avoidance and low self-esteem. I'm going to look at this just because I think it might give me some subject headings. So, like, for example, interpersonal conflict. And what I might want to do is come in here, you know, get my dates up to speed, get my full text, and then Professor Reyes. Right, so there are several conflict styles, avoidance, and, oh, okay, so I can imagine, yeah, others might be like, I don't know what the names would be, like the kind of in your face conflict style. The passive-aggressive conflict style. So I'm going to go into the advanced search here really quickly, and I want to show you how I use those subject headings to help out. Oh, E, good question. DE, short for descriptor. It really means subject heading, basically. You can see these things on this drop-down, how they're giving you different fields that you can use. So I'm going to come in here and look for, oops, that's not what I meant. Hillary, you are so the librarian. I love it. Oh my God, I didn't realize it was 8 o'clock already. Probably try and wrap up here pretty soon. I don't want to keep people on forever, but I just wanted to show you one more thing. So I could come in here and do theme and then see what shows up. So the other member that I want to go back and do to my scholarly full text peer reviewed. Okay, and the date. So I do too, Larry. I think it'd be pretty cool. Well, like Chris said, like Professor said, I mean, if this is something that you really like, then, you know, put it to your evaluations and start talking about it and start asking your other instructors. You know, if you're taking a bunch of online classes, say, hey, did you know that we could actually have these live online classes and they're fun and interesting? Definitely. So let's see. Here's our interpersonal conflict. This identity one, this looked kind of interesting. Let's see. So I don't know, Professor Reyes, I don't know what you're thinking about in terms of how much more to do at this point. What I am going to tell you all is that tomorrow night I will be logged in from 5 to 8. Let me grab that for you really quickly and put that into the chat. I'll be logged in 2x from 5 to 8 to help you out. So let me go to that and paste that link in there, because that might be a good time after you've tried some of these things on your own. So you can see right here, here's the 12-13. And you can just check in and see how you're doing. Worked out really well for a couple of your classmates and I. We've done a couple of those sessions. So, yeah, 5 to 8. Don't forget about Ask Academic. I'm on there quite a bit anyways, but so yeah, that should be helpful too. Yeah, and I think unless anyone has a bunch more questions, I'm going to, don't forget that you can save chat, you can save the whiteboard, you can save any of the files associated with this session. So I would probably save the chat since I've put in a bunch of links into there, and that way those are just live links that you can click on. And I will record this, and I will send the recording link to Chris as well. So, Chris, did you want to say anything else into the mic, or should I call it night?
Okay. Well, first of all, thank all of you for showing up this evening. And it's amazing how quickly the session went and how much I learned a lot tonight. I always learn in these sessions. And I just want to thank you for showing up. And let's give May a huge round of applause for being such a phenomenal hostess and really helping everybody out and just doing such a great job. I mean, you know you're in the hands of just some of the best here. Absolutely, one of the best. Absolutely. And I think that's pretty much it for me. I know these papers are due by 11:59 on Friday evening, and I do mean 11:59 p.m. because the Dropbox is going to close after that. So please don't wait until the very last second to get it submitted, because it's not going to get submitted. I'm grading these and have everything posted by Saturday. So we're going to get these graded as quickly as possible. If you get them submitted sooner, I'll get them graded sooner, and we'll move on. But I just want to thank everyone for showing up. And I know that it's kind of difficult sometimes with the online class for everybody to be in the same place at the same time. But I'm so delighted that you showed up. And again, we just learned a tremendous amount. And Megan, I just can't thank you enough for all the work that you've done and just how creative and supportive that you've been to me. And you really make my job such easier and make it better for me and really make it better for the students. And it really means a lot. Really means a lot to me. So thank you all. And I'm going to be signing off tonight. Megan, thank you so much. And I will talk to you all online the next few days. So there, everyone.
All right, thanks again, and good night, Professor Reyes, and good night to everybody else. I'm sure I'll see you around. Take care, everybody.